Okay, welcome back to The Social Wildlife. My name is Josh Townsend. I'm your host. So today on the show, I have the head of mountain biking at the Christchurch Adventure Park, Morgan Calas. So with over 2 decades of experience in the cycling industry, Morgan has dedicated his career to not only mastering the sport, but also mentoring the next generation of instructors and mechanics. His journey, however, wasn't always smooth. Having endured years of bullying as a child and young adolescent, he found strength through the sports that eventually helped him break free from that cycle. Beyond professional life, Morgs is passionate about mountain biking, surfing and snowboarding, as well as being a supportive husband and father. He hopes to share his story and encourage listeners to embrace empathy, remembering that we're all facing our own battles. Treat others as you wish to be treated. So thank you for coming on the show, Morgan.
Thanks for having me.
That's right, no worries. Today's topic is resilience and independence. So we're going to talk about the power of community support with our youth. So just a bit about your introduction and background, Morgan. You run the bike school and workshop at the Christchurch Adventure Park. Could you tell us a bit about how you got started in mountain biking and what initially drew you into the sport?
Yeah, sure. I started with mechanics basically as a job.
Right.
So first off, started in a shop called Halford's. So it's kind of like your Repco if they were to sell bikes as well. And then from that, bought my first mountain bike. It was actually selling my car.
Right.
Couldn't afford it. And I was like, well, I've got the money. What do I do with it? So I actually bought a bike and a snowboard.
Right.
And then it kind of went from there.
Yep.
And as soon as I started turning the wheels on it and took it out on the trails, I got hooked. And I kept developing it from then as well. It was kind of new in the world of sport anyway, and outdoor pursuits. So when I went to college and then university, I was actually developing mountain biking programs as well as doing it with my education and trying to adapt it.
Right.
Because everything's like climbing or hiking.
Yeah.
And I was doing outdoor education. I thought, right, there's something here.
Yeah.
And 20 years later, it's the beast it is now.
Right.
I'm ahead of the game, I would say.
Yeah, so 20 years later, so what are we talking, 2004?
About
Around
that
then?
time, yeah.
So how old were you then?
So could be wrong with times actually. So it's like I was 18 when I started.
Right.
So coming up to almost, so I'm ticking over when I get my birthday. It's going to be 2 decades.
Yeah, yeah.
It's quite incredible to think that I've been doing a sport for that long and loving it.
Yeah, because it was a different animal back then, wasn't it? Like mountain bikes, they've changed so much since then.
Everybody's got one now and they call it the pub bike.
Right.
And those are the bikes that I was rocking around on first dirt, and to see what the bikes are now and what you can do on them is incredible.
Oh, I know. Yeah, we're just buying Flynn's bike. It was just the money in it, but also the technology is just insane.
And choice.
Yeah, yeah.
Too much to offer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So what was it about mountain biking that made you want to pursue it as a hobby that made you want to pursue it not just as a hobby but as a career?
Independence and freedom.
Right.
And it was the way I could bring, self-esteem, confidence. It's only you that's turning the pedals. And it was actually from one moment where I did my first 60-mile mountain bike ride. I'm sorry I'm using miles, but I mean,
it's all right.
Like kilometers is like
roughly
80k,
yeah,
or maybe more. But you could see it was on the South Downs Way, and you could see from the points that I've come from. And I thought it was incredible that I used my own energy to get from that point to that point to where I was at that point. I was sitting down having a sandwich or something. Yeah, and I was just overwhelmed with. I thought this is incredible, and I want to be able to experience this for other people. And it's that as well. It's when you do experience with others, you take your mates out on the trails, and some of them get it, some of them don't.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
The ones that click, and they're like, "Whoa, this is incredible too." And then you start meeting people on the trails also, and it's the buzz, it's the vibe.
Yep.
And it's all about the community rather than how much you can do.
Yep.
Because you can ride as much as you want on your own. When you ride with others, you can share that experience.
Yes.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? You find something you like doing, and then you find people that also like that thing, and you all share that same common enjoyment of it. That's unmatched, no matter what it is. You know, that's just that feeling of community around something that you all enjoy is amazing.
Absolutely. You could do it in a new meeting scenario, for instance, or if you go to like one of those career junket kind of things, you start answering those questions. But for me, it's kind of like I was trying to find those commonalities with people. It's like, you go, if you can click, like, do you mountain bike? And like, yeah, and you go, right, cool. You're like, you're sitting next to them, then it's like, right, we're having a chat, and you kind of just go straight through the small talk and the bullshit, and it's just like you've found a common interest, and then you can work backwards from there. It's cool.
What inspired you to take on the role of teaching others, particularly youth, in such an adventurous and physically demanding environment?
Doing my education, so studying outdoor education and doing it as a university degree, it's kind of kept going that way. And it's then from also the workshop side of it. And I've worked other jobs like building sites and all sorts, and you see how the young or the generation young, but or the apprentices or the youngers, just they kind of, if you get a bad teacher, it's just, there's no learning coming from it. It's just going to frustrate the person that's actually doing the job. So if you can train them properly, but also find out how they like to be trained or how they learn, and click onto that, that's inspiring. And if you can get, if you've got a room of 10 and one of them gets it, you've done well. And it's you can kind of think, I want them all to get it, but they won't.
No,
you can't please everyone. You please no one. But if you can get that one, they take it on, and you get a buzz. You can't change the world, but you can at least make it a bit better by helping someone out.
I find that with paragliding too, and that I look at how I was taught, and then I look at how I teach, and you know how they say when you're an adult, often you become the person you needed. It's like, well, I'm the teacher I needed. When I teach people, I'm like, I really wanted that explained to me. I wanted to understand that a bit more thoroughly. I needed encouragement in this moment. I needed to make sure that I learned things in this order. And you apply that, and you get to see if your way of learning would work for others. And then you get to see, it does. Like you say, the certain people within the group get it. And you're like, yes, I knew it. I knew that I had a method here or something that was going to work,
No, that's like mechanics for me. When I started, I was always mechanical. My dad's an engineer, and then I was doing a paper round. I get a puncher, and he's like, "Well, you fix it." What? It's like, and then, but he'd be there showing me at the same time, but actually I'd be doing it. So that's when I knew I was a kinesthetic learner. So we're doing it together, figuring it out. And he wasn't the greatest at fixing engines either, but it was like we'll work it out together. But then I was doing it professionally, and then you start going, well, I'm doing this on customers' bikes, and like you ask, hey, can you check my work? And like, I'm too busy. And then the other ones, they got too busy. They got the jobs on. I'm like, so then I had to force myself to find outsourced education.
I see.
So in the UK, it's something called SciTech.
Right.
And then it's free for people if before you go to university. So I was actually on my way to go to university.
Cool.
I rushed to do it real quick. So I just want that validation, a ticket of competence from someone else. And it was like an apprenticeship, so it's pretty cool. We're doing a similar thing in New Zealand now, which is good. But that was the first kind of introduction to why I wanted to be able to teach others properly and accurately. And you give it your own flavour as well. It's, they say, be the teacher you wanted.
And I suppose you develop faith in yourself and your methods too. Like that time where you talk about potentially that you need someone to check your work, and you're like, shit, I don't have that suddenly. It's like you've got to be confident, I guess, that what you're doing is enough, or that what you've done is enough. I mean, I battled with that, and that you're like, really, I'm the authority on this now? You to that point where you're like, I remember myself as this nervous person that maybe wasn't, I'm still getting still getting over that point where it's like, am I confident now that what I've done is right? But we're all just winging it, really. Even, and again, if I go back to my instructor, he's got a reputation. They put dangerous before his first name, So it's like he's got a reputation for necessarily not always following the rules and sending people off when maybe the conditions might be marginal, And when I think about it, when I was learning to fly, it was like, are these conditions safe? They don't really feel like it, but he's like, off you go. And you're thinking, shit, he's the professional here. These are times where I wouldn't send students off now, knowing what I know. But again, this is how you kind of, you learn and you go, okay, well, maybe my fears were warranted back then, and maybe I have a bit more, it builds my confidence that I'm making the right decisions now.
Yeah. No, it's in university, for instance, we had that on like, I think it was in the first semester, the lecturer, Lee Pritchard, is a great man. He was like, go and do some misadventures.
Right.
I'm like, what? It's like, yeah, go get in trouble, but just enough that you can get out of it.
Right.
And it's like, it's great because you learn from failure.
Yeah.
But it's not enough that you would fail.
No.
But you go, right, I won't do that this time.
Yeah.
It can be something simple like going out and not taking an extra pair of socks when you're camping.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Or
just being miserable for a bit. Yeah.
Learn through discomfort.
Yes.
And then you can, you understand how to pack a bag then, right? How this is how I pack because everything got wet, or take more food or more water, or learn to find where the water source is.
Yeah.
It can be something like that. It doesn't be something super crazy.
No.
Although one of my misadventures did end up pretty bad.
Reasonably catastrophic.
Yeah, winter climbing without crampons.
Oh, wow.
And one ice axe and kind of hanging off the edge of a cliff. Well, what was kind of grabbing onto shrubs in North Wales.
Right.
Got out of it, but got a story to tell. But
could have been bad.
Terrifying at the time.
Yeah, I bet it was. Yeah.
Yeah, shouldn't have gone.
No. Yeah. I've got similar situations where I've taken off in the wrong conditions and winged it, and excuse the pun, but like, you know, taking off at a time where I'm like, I've been told this is dangerous, and then dealing with it being dangerous, and then go, I just would give anything to be on the ground right now. This is not where you want to be. So yeah. But again, I would never do that again. Never take off in those conditions again. So,
but you learn from it, and it's like
you do, yeah.
Well, I guess the instructor you mentioned is like it's having that bit of a push, but you kind of want to rely on that instructor as well to be like, okay, well, he's saying it's okay.
Yeah, you have to at the time.
Yeah,
you haven't really got a choice.
And I still kind of do that with the teachings I do now. It's like mountain biking, for instance. It's like it's challenging. You know, you're trying to encourage someone to go and do something that is risky. Yeah, but you know they've got it. Yeah, but they've got the internal battles themselves. Yeah. So you can lead them so far and then go, right, I'm just going to leave it now. Yeah. Because I'm not going to start egging you on to put yourself into dangerous situation. No. But give them the confidence to go, got this. Yeah. Step back. And I guess sometimes that's what it's about being an instructor, is being able to identify those times. So this is a time where I can leave them, I can provide enough perspective around it to say to them, this is up to you. Rather than don't do this. Yeah. You know, no, don't attempt that. That's way above your skill level at this point. That would be my advice to you. Or you're more than capable of this. You know, there's that middle of the road stuff where it's like, actually, this is on you now. Yeah, it's having that confidence as well. Like, you know, to step in and go, you're not ready. Yeah, that's right. Because they're a paying customer, and you want them to achieve their goals. Yes. But actually maybe achieving those goals is like coming back again next time. Yep. Because they could look at it and go, I've paid this money, and go, yeah, you have, but you've learnt this much already. Yeah. And being confident to look back on that, because I've learnt the hard way doing that a lot. Yeah. But you kind of self-reflection. Yeah. And go, well, what did they learn? Because they could go away going, oh man, but they give them a second, like give them like a couple of weeks. They'll come back. Yeah, that's right. Actually, they were being honest about that, and I'll do it when I'm ready. As long as they don't scare the shit out of themselves. Done that too. Yeah. So how has working with youth shaped your perspective on the importance of outdoor activities like mountain biking? For them to grow in themselves. Yeah, I think we're living in a world now. Well, definitely as it's accelerated so quickly that everything's kind of behind the screen. Yeah, ironic because people are going to watch this behind the screen. But it's doing stuff in the outdoors. You need that reset. You need that break. Yeah. But also it's the gateway to opportunities as well. Yeah. I grew up in not so much a concrete jungle, but very much city boy. Breaking out into the trees, into the forest it's incredible. Like the silence. Well, actually saying that, it's still massive main roads, even if you go into the forest in the UK, but you know, in the green, you know, in the forest, see the birds, see the trees, the leaves on the ground, get dirty. Yeah. You know, actually get stuck in. Come home top to toe filthy. Yeah. Like wet, sweat, you don't know what it is, but you've improved your life. Yes. Yeah. Just like tenfold just by getting out and there, getting it done. Yeah. And just you got to be find discomfort as well. I think that's a lot of what we're going into is we're trying to create things that make us more comfortable. Yes. But actually it's taking us away from the actual thing of being comfortable with discomfort. Yep. And it doesn't need to be hard. You know, a mountain bike ride can take 20 minutes, an hour and a half, and it can be whatever you want it to be. But it doesn't have to be grueling. It can be if you want.
Yeah.
But it's still going to inspire you to do something different and be better in yourself.
Yeah.
And if you give that to kids, it's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like as living things on this planet, we move away from discomfort and towards anything that's positive for us. You know, like we don't see discomfort as positive generally, but we're built to adapt to uncomfortable things. So like if we aren't putting ourselves through uncomfortable stuff, we have nothing to adapt to, and that doesn't make us very resilient.
No.
And it doesn't give us the life experience or anything we need to be capable adults. So I think like we're at a time in human history, I think, where we don't have to. Discomfort doesn't find us as often as it used to. If you go back 100 years, the world was a harder place, you know. And nowadays, we have to go looking in first world countries like New Zealand, Australia, the US, the UK. Unless you're born into poverty, you have to go looking for discomfort. You have to choose to find it, and you have to pick your discomfort, because if you go through your whole life choosing the easy road or the easy things or the stuff that feels positive at the time, you're not set up to handle the hard stuff. And eventually the hard stuff will find you, but it's about what that hard stuff is and whether you're ready for it, you know?
Yeah, we're lucky enough to be able to pick and choose.
Yeah. That's a luxury.
Discomfort.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that's important, that if you do start getting too comfortable, is to actually seek some.
Yes.
And that's the reason why I'm here, essentially, in New Zealand. It's like I was sitting at home, in a rental when I was, getting close to 30, but TV on, hot dinner.
Yeah.
It's raining outside. I'm too comfortable.
Yeah.
That's it's like coming from university and trying to find my career and go, I need something. It'd been like 2 years of being in a steady job, going and, I was still mountain biking, that's fine, but I wasn't challenging myself as much as I was doing previously. And I was like, I know where this is going, this road, but I don't want to do it.
No.
And, it was my dad who said, like, get out of your system.
Yeah.
Either go and, he knew I wanted to kind of use the visa and go to New Zealand. He said, do it, or just sort something out, sort your shit out.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh, whoa. And it's like, it's what I needed from my dad at the time, because, he grew up and it was, you go to get study, you get a good job, get a house, get the wife, do the kind of cookie cutter lifestyle. I was kind of breaking away from that internal battle with having that from mountain biking, the sport, going, I want to pursue this, but I'm getting to a point in my life where I've got to do that.
Yeah.
Then it was like, right, pick up, take a bag and a bike, quit the job.
Yeah.
Go do something else.
Yeah.
And now I'm here. And it's when I got to New Zealand, so I was a tour guide before I did work at CAP. So working for Haka Tours and just taking people up and down the country on mountain bikes. Cool. Baptism of fire, because telling people about New Zealand, and I've just landed. Yeah, but right, it'd be a quick way to learn. That was an education. Yeah. It was real cool. But the start would have been rough. Man, but it was, again, mountain biking. So the people that are coming on tour, the clients come on tour, you eventually got, bang, they're there for a reason. Yes. To ride bikes. So I didn't have to worry about the culture too much. No, you're there to do that mostly. Yeah. That I learned on the way, and then started learning the places. But still, it's I could have chosen anywhere to kind of call home. But, I always say that I was technically homeless for the 2 years I was working there. Right, yeah. So where'd you live? And well, my car's parked in Christchurch. Right, really? Yeah. I was in hostels and stuff. And it was being used to being uncomfortable and having just a bag of just didn't need much at the time. Yep. But the Canterburyans, it's like I quickly got, immersed into the community. And then seeing the resilience that the Canterburyans have, the ground shakes constantly. Yeah, post-earthquake, eh? Yeah, I was here for the 2016 one, the Kaikoura one. Yeah. And that was an introduction. Yeah. Christ, frightens the shit out of you. And then to think that what they went through prior to that. The February one was next level, man. Yeah. Yeah. And then, but they stuck around.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then it's the community. It's like, it's knowing who your neighbour is. And I think we're starting to get, because I consider myself a Canterburyan now as well. I think we're starting to find that comfort now.
Yes.
And some are breaking away from it.
Yeah.
But they find this, like, that's why mountain biking, CAP's gone so crazy, because it's like anywhere in the city you can see the park. And I think people are finding that, and they're finding the enjoyment, but discomfort in biking as well as that escape route.
Yeah, both the Port Hills fires have put it in the spotlight too.
Massive.
You hear about it in the media regularly because it was close to those two events. Obviously, the first one really affected it, and the second one has, but not as significantly from what I heard. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, there's details coming out soon. Don't think I can discuss too much of that anyway from what I do know. But it's still a big hit for the community or anything. So it doesn't. You're not thinking just a business. You're thinking people want to ride there now. Yeah,
that's right.
They want to be there. They want to see it. They want to see the trees. And it's like you see more of the community getting together. Whereas I think prior to it was considered a business where they're like, you get all the kind of arguments. But this time around, it was more like, oh man, it's like it's my place of joy.
Yes. Yeah, I noticed it too when I heard about it in the news and the fires the second time. I was like, fuck it, this is something that's so good for the city. To have be hit so twice like that, it's so tragic. And I was just hoping that it wasn't a significant recovery the second time round.
Got through. Trails back open. People buzzing.
Yeah. So the Christchurch Adventure Park is known for its strong community atmosphere. What does it mean to you to be part of this community, and how has it influenced your personal and professional journey?
Yeah, it's first and foremost, it's a pretty incredible place to call your work, your office. You're in the trees.
Yeah,
I think that's why so many people love to go there as well.
Yep.
Second to that is like, I've never worked anywhere where so many people know my name,
right?
But don't come for a reason to kind of, you're not selling them anything. Although I am working in a shop, but I'm not technically. You're not going through the store through like a normal retail store, and they're trying to like either cut down the price or they're only there to buy a t-shirt and then bugger off. It's like they're coming in and go, hey, how's it going? And go, cool, and have a chat, and then you're just walking through the village and a bunch of a whole group of kids turn around and go, what's up, Morgs? It's like, that's cool, and it's like it does give that kind of family vibe.
Yes,
but yeah, I might go on tangent off the question there, but
no, that's all right.
That's kind of that's the great vibe of it. Essentially, it's that community feel.
So to you, I mean, that's what it means. It means a lot to you because of the sense of community that exists without the kind of like salesy undertone. It's not necessarily about what's any form of like financial exchange or anything like that. It's actually about the people coming through that want to know each other and. Yeah, I guess there's something very real about it.
Yeah. They get to look after each other as well. They check in, how you doing? They get to know you personally, you get to know them personally. It's like, and you can go, how's the house going? Or how's the reno going? And it's like, and it's, I think there's a break for them as well. Everybody does. Some people do live in, work in an environment it's just like four walls and a desk, and it's like they get that buzz and they go, they actually want to know about my day. And it's like, I have that freedom to be able to talk about it.
It's for some people, it's going to the pub, and for some people, it's going to their barber. It's almost a form of therapy. Checking in with the people who we all meet in this place to do this thing that's not our everyday routine. It's still part of our routine, but it's not the majority of it. It's that this is my free time and I enjoy this and I get such a positive hit out of it. And I know the people here are too. And I know for you, it's obviously your job, but you're immersed in that for a lot of people as well. So it can become, there's a bit of like crossover almost. Like,
And I think it's true, the fact when they say when it doesn't feel like a job, it's not a job.
No, I know paragliding's the same for me.
Yeah, you just kind of, you go and it's like, wow, I get paid to do this.
Yeah.
Forget that. I go, a paycheck comes through as well. But it's like, it's what you're doing to, make everybody else's day better.
Yep. I know, it's like that. I noticed that too. It's like, that's right, I got paid for today. What the hell? I've been sitting up on a hill in the sun, like, like ground handling my wing and chatting with other students or whatever, like giving them advice. But I'd be doing that anyway if I was up there flying. Like, I feel like it does not feel like work.
Yeah, it's like when, I think that's when I knew I wanted to be an instructor as well and coach. It's like when you're taking your mates out riding And like, oh, don't wait for me if you don't want to. And like, look, I wouldn't invite you on the ride if I was just going to be like, see ya. See
yeah,
you
that's
at the
right.
bottom.
Yeah.
And it's the same when you're taking clients up. It's like, they go, oh, sorry if I'm slowing you down. Like, you paid me to be here with you.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's like, that's just the bonus that it is.
Yeah.
You know, we're just, I'm sharing the passion, and we're just going to go, shred some trails, and I'm
We're
going to show you
this.
how to do it better.
Yeah, that's right. You
so
set the pace.
Yeah, that's it. And so even if you take them, on, doing guided tours and on Ghost Road, or if you take them out to Craigburn or Wanaka, Queenstown, stuff like that, again, they're like, oh, sorry if I'm last up the hill. And I'm like, yeah, but that's why we wait for you. Yeah. And now I'm going to stop and I'm going to wait until you're recharged, rather than being that, going, right, we're going to go now, they're all here. Yeah, that's right. No, because then you don't want to disgruntle them. And it's like, and you're just like, just chill. Yeah. Just look around. It's like an incredible country.
Enjoy yourself.
Yeah. We've stopped here because it's a beautiful view. Yeah. And just have a snack or a bit of water, and we'll crack on again. Yeah. And I think that's what they love about it as well. That's the sport, because, it's there for everyone.
Yes. Yep. That is you're creating that community. Yeah. Can you just briefly share any particular moments at the park that have made you feel especially connected to this community?
I think it's by doing the bit to muck in, doing the mahi to get it open again. Right. Cat has been through a lot. I mean, I started there in 2019. Right. So it was after they kind of picked up from the first fire, but and then that we went straight into the COVID situation. Yep. And then getting that open, and then another fire and getting open. So it's just more being there for the community and trying to get it open as soon as possible when it's practically as practically open to. Yep. So they can just use it, because it's for them, not so much for us. It's like it's their play. Yep. It's their sandbox. Absolutely. It's trying to get it, but also to ensure it's kept at that high standard for them. If there's an issue, or if there's they're having an issue, it's making sure that gets filed and it gets passed on, and something gets changed as well, so that the input they put in, we're just going to make it better for them as well. Yep. Because I can't sing a single thing, because so much happens all the time. It's like if you're helping someone off the hill, if they've had really, really broken themselves, but then you see them riding again. Yes. But you helped them get out of that situation. Yep. Driving a vehicle up to support another person in, they need a vehicle on the hill. Cool. Yep. I'm there. Yep. Or, just not so much being the yes man, but being, mucking in. Yes. And there's too many occasions to kind of call out just one. Yeah. But it's, I think it's more just making sure it's there for the community. Yes.
Fair enough. So it sounds like the park and mountain biking have played a significant role in your life. Before we dive deeper into that, could you share a bit about your early life and what were some of the challenges that you faced growing up?
Yeah. Growing up in Portsmouth in the UK, I think school's a tough time for most kids. It was probably particularly tough for myself. You say victim, but I guess it's the easiest thing to kind of represent it by. It's like of bullying. Yeah. First introduction is like, I think we call it reception in the UK, but it's kind of, you've gone from like daycare and then to that first, it's like
of school.
Yeah, so it's not it's like before that, it's like introduction to school.
It'd be new entrants here are like 5.
Yeah.
But then you've got like pre that would be 4, you'd be at kindergarten or daycare, yeah.
Yeah, and it's day 1 pretty much.
Right.
Yeah. Like put my jacket onto a hook where you got to step on a chair. Yeah. And some kid just rips me off and throws me across the floor and smack my head on the skirting board. Wow. And that was like my first introduction to bullying.
Day 1.
Day 1, wow. Pretty much.
Yeah.
And then, school's hard anyway, but you keep going through it. I think I was a very emotional kid. Kind, caring. Yeah. There's a few things my parents always taught me before I went out the door. So you say your please and thank yous. Yep. And treat others if you want to be treated yourself. But then you try as much as you can. But I think some take advantage of that.
Oh, they do, yeah.
And it was not until I was older that you understand that hurt people. Yeah. But when you're younger, it's like, you go into school and you don't know if you're going to get smacked in the head or if you're going to get thrown into a locker, or just verbally abused publicly in front of others, and then you think that people are your friends and start laughing as well. And it's like being called a loser and then having that reaffirmment from other people, you start to believe it.
Yeah, well, kids take things on, don't they? Like we take it on as that is the world. You know, that's the way it is. If the group's saying it, then it must be true.
Yeah, and if you can easily cry, that makes it worse.
Yeah,
and it's like you do.
Yeah,
you can't hold it in. It's and still great parenting. You know, rather than saying, you know, smack them back, is, you know, tell the teacher. Yeah,
which is the right thing to do.
Yeah,
if you want to exist in a society as an adult where there's a police force, like that's what we do. We don't engage in something that could lead to either significant trauma, you know, physical trauma to ourselves, or incarceration.
Absolutely, but as a kid, it's like,
what do you do?
Then you've been snitched.
Yeah, that's right.
And then it's like they'll just wait and come back for you. So then you get, you know, it's going to school and thinking it's traumatic. It's hard, and it's even harder now to think that the kids can't escape it.
Yeah,
it's social media. You
see the statistics on it. Preteen, we might have talked about it, but preteen suicide and self-harm rates in girls have gone up. You know, at the time the documentary I saw it on was made, which is probably 5, 6, 7 years ago, they'd tripled since Facebook became a thing.
It's, you know, the film Mean Girls. It's it's true, it's evident, and it's weird. You see it as blokes, and it's the fine line between banter and bullying. It's a real fine line. Yeah. Because it just comes down to how the person interprets it, really.
That's right.
But girls can be vicious, and then you get collective, and then they hide it real well too. It's like with blokes, it's pretty upfront.
Yep.
Girls can be pretty methodical about it.
It's tactical.
Yeah, and unfortunately, if it gets to the point where someone like takes their life, before they've even found the magic of freedom, like finish school and be your own person, that's pretty gut-wrenching.
That's terrible, yeah. I guess the upside of it, of social media and things, is it's becoming so much more obvious, as well as, you know, we're seeing it. We're actually seeing it happen, as well as more of it happening. So it's I feel like the kind of social evolution is occurring around social media a lot, in that more is possible, so more is happening, but at the same time, less is possible to hide. Everyone's got cameras now. Things get filmed, they get posted, it gets uploaded. People become aware of it, communities become aware of it, governments become aware of it, and things have to change faster. But it is happening at such a pace that it's almost like people are scrambling. Like, what do you do? How do you counteract this stuff? You know?
Yeah, so quick. And, you know, thankfully there wasn't cameras when I was, you know, it'd be pretty obvious if you're holding a camera back at school.
Yeah, that's right. You had it on your shoulder.
So what's a production company?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, thank Christ it didn't get filmed when I was younger, because that doesn't go away.
No.
As soon as it's online, that's it. It's like it can just recirculate and then get changed again to a meme, or get changed again to something else. And you think, how does that feel for that person that's involved in that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
How did these early experiences shape your outlook on life and your approach to challenges?
Kind of wasn't until fighting the first single person sport that changed it for me.
Right.
Is skateboarding.
Yep.
That changed everything for me.
Right.
Because I was getting really badly bullied, and you just kind of start sinking in that hole of I didn't even know it was called depression back then.
Yeah.
And like, you don't want to go to school, but you still go to school because you have to. Yeah. And it's not a good time, and you start internally battling. But I never skipped it. I never kind of faked being sick for it. I kind of took it head on.
Faced it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then skateboarding, you know, it's it took over. And it was actually because my mate, he's still my best mate today, Matt Johnson. He's like, we were mates before, and he kind of went away and he was went to a different school. And then I saw him like in passing. I was doing my paper round or something. He was just doing some rollerblading outside the shop, and it was like just kind of chatted for a bit, and then kind of went on to finish my round. And they come and knock on the door a few days later and go, "Do you want to come and hang out?" It's like, yeah, cool. And then I was this kid sitting at home drawing and painting, nerdy kid, and then, oh, what's that? I said, skateboard. Cool. And like do an ollie, and you go, oh, that's cool. And then using the money from the paper round, buy a skateboard. Yeah. And then, and I was skateboarding before. My dad made some ramps when I was like 10, but I kind of didn't really click. And then, it was like, oh, wow, no, we can go on the street. And it's like, we can go to the shops, and you can, go further. And then, I got 4 wheels and my legs, I can keep going more and more and more. And then you start getting into the culture of it as well. Yeah. And then meeting other skaters, and it's like, wow. And it was escape from school. Yeah. It's like, right, I'm going to school, fuck it, it's what I'm doing after school. I'm going to Sainsbury's, like with you in New World, and there's a curb out front, and we're just going to wax the shit out and just keep going.
Those were the days, eh?
Yeah, it's like I had no other
street skating.
Going home from school, done my paper round, then I'm having dinner, and then going out skating. And I'll be back before it gets dark. Yeah, and my parents knew where I was, and just having fun, and it was you're challenging yourself. Yeah. And it was just like, rather than being, rugby and football and basketball, tried them all, hockey, but nothing really stuck, because I find that if you are the weakest link in it, then you get blamed. Yeah. Oh man, I've let the team down. Or if you're always the last to be picked at football, then you're the one who scores. Yeah. And like, this is all just a popularity contest. Yeah, it's like, it is. Then you got the skateboarding thing. That's not going to move unless I push it. That's right. Like, what am I going to do? I can be creative. Yeah. It's like, all right, I'm going to do this. And it's like, land it. And then you could be busting a trick or trying your hardest for like 2 hours. And you finally land it. Oh, I did it. And you can hear a tap of a skateboard in the distance.
Everyone.
You look around and go, that's for me.
That's right.
Oh, sick. And it's like, you get buzzing, and you get a massive vibe off of that, and you go, what am I going to do next? And it's like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it in any way saying I was amazing. I was average at best. But every kid wants to be a professional skateboarder until your dad goes, no, you're not. Yeah. You will. Like, you're not. But it was fun. That's what it was all about. And I think that's where, with mountain biking, I found the same thing. Yeah, it's a transition. From the introduction, say master it. I'm not incredible by any standard at all. There are people out there way better than me. Yeah, but I think I know a lot more holistically about the sport and how to make sure I can get others to engage in it. Yes, and inspire on it. And it's even find that coaching of it and finding their little weaknesses, the 1%. Yep, and getting them to get further and faster. But
I think everyone has their niche too. The things that they're good at. I remember when I was skateboarding, because I was obsessed with snowboarding at the time. If I could have been on the ski field in the terrain park, instead of the skate park, I would have been. That's how much I love snowboarding. And I tried to adapt. I wasn't very good at things like kick flips and heel flips, and I could do a heel flip, but I always adapted my skateboarding to what snowboarding would be like. So I would shoot into Washington, absolutely fly into the bigger half pipes and go flying out the other side, and just to get as much air as I could. And we'd stack bread crates on their end. Yep. And I remember I could pop out and get like about, off and out over 2 bread crates, up, and then, but then, grab my board, pull it up high, get over it, and then land it. And everyone was just like, whoa, at Jelly Park would do the same. And I just remember being like, I can do this thing that other people here aren't really doing. And it was like, then I felt like I had something to offer the sport almost. It was like I was that person, 1 in 20 or 1 in 30 people that was doing skating like that. And I felt capable, as much as I wasn't able to do the tricks as much as everyone else. It was like, this is me, this is what I do.
Yeah, and you got your own flavour, right?
Yeah.
You turn up as a crew, and then there's the one guy that's good at rails, and there's the other guy that's good at transition, and the other guy that's like can do flips, and or the one guy that's just got this crazy ollie that you don't even know where it comes out from. But as a crew, like if you play a game of skate as well, then you find the ones that are really good at everything and put the time and the effort in.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, they've all got their own niche. I think.
So you mentioned that you've been able to relate to the youth at the park in a unique way. How do your past experiences, particularly as a young person, influence the way that you connect with the riders you work with today?
Yeah, it's the youth. We've seen them grow up from being like a 9-year-old. Now they're probably like 15, 16.
Right.
And pushing the limits of like them turn into the adolescence.
Yeah.
And they're pushing the boundaries of life as well. But
right.
they're doing it at the park.
Yeah.
But then also where I can see that fine line between bullying and banter, I can step in when I know that it's
you see it happening.
It's happening, yeah.
Right, yeah.
And I've had a few parents that, because the parents, I know the parents too, and
yes.
they'll come to me and go, this is happening, and they'll show me some things that happen on social media. Now I can pull some kids aside and be like, I know what's going on, but what was this? How could you have dealt with this scenario to begin with? I've seen the feed, so before you even say like,
yeah, true.
Oh no, it wasn't me, and then you can see it in their eyes.
Yeah,
I'm actually there one-on-one with them.
Yeah,
or within a safe place. Obviously, because you've got to work with kids. You can't
yes.
pull them aside, or if I can, have someone else there with me.
Yeah,
but without it looking too like threatening.
Yeah,
I go, what could you have done in this situation? Get them to think about it first, and go, just apologise. And you go, yeah. It's like, just say no. Would you say that in front of their face?
Yeah,
yeah. I had that as a kid, like I said, that reaffirmment to like being called a loser to my face.
Yep.
And it's like, well, I must be a loser then. But now if it's behind a screen, they think that they're being face to face. But if you go, look, if you said that to that kid to his face, would you say it to his face? You go, no. And then why should you do it on social media then?
Yeah.
So it's the way I can help and educate them and train them in their decision making as well.
Yep.
With the technology that they've got. Rather than saying, because there's going to be more of this technology. You can't go, right, just ignore it, turn it off.
No.
Because I use it now for work as well, using social media to reach more people, leads, and then make it and turn it into money. They're going to do that more than we will.
Yeah.
So how can they use it as a tool rather than like a vice? And then seeing groups of kids that may be, causing a bit of aggro and there's families there, and like pulling them aside, go, think of decision making right now.
Yeah. How
are you portraying yourself? This is not just for you, it's for the next generation as well.
Yeah.
And because a lot of these kids, we've taught them growing up, and I've seen them have their own battles. I've seen them have tears in the trails and let them have their own, get them back to base level and go down. And you can see it in their eyes, that flicks and go, they remember that scenario I was with them and I didn't push them, or I didn't, go, man up. It's like, I just let them have that moment. Yeah. And that has changed their life. And you can see it in their eyes when they go, I remember that. And you go, yeah.
I mean, and we'll get to this, but that's exactly what happened with Flynn, on the trails. It's that you're an adult male in a position of authority within that space, but you're also compassionate.
Yeah.
And that's huge. Like, that's massive. That you're not that guy that says, man up, come on, carry on with it, because that's not the way, that's the way to build bullies, really. And I think that it's a case of just allowing them to have that moment, sitting with them, making sure they feel understood. It's so important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think I'm at that advantage where I can see it before it happens.
Yeah.
And to step in before it
You've
happens.
Been there.
Yeah. But then making sure they get the message, but it's not like don't do it again. It's more like, hey, just think about it next time before it happens, or how could this have gone further?
Yeah. Well, you're teaching them how to think, not what to think.
Yeah.
Which I think is really important when parenting, is that, again, we allow them to, hey, look, if you face a situation, what could have been a better way to deal with it? You tell me. I'm not going to tell you what you should have done. I got all sorts of ideas, but let's hear it. You're the one that's got to figure this out.
I see that with my boy now. He's 2.
Yeah.
Although he can't verbally project his emotions, it's more of a tantrum. But just let him have a moment. It's like, or if you go, he's gonna bump himself in a minute, but I'm gonna watch. Yeah. I'll step in if it's gonna get dangerous. But you go, whack. You go, oh Christ, I'm here. But it's like, right, you know not to do that again.
Why did that happen?
And it's like, without, what they call it now, snowplow parent. Yeah,
or helicopter parent.
Yeah, I think the snowplow is even worse because it clear the pathway.
Oh, right, yes. Yeah.
The helicopter's like hovering, but now it's like, but still you go, hey, they're going to get hurt. There's something you just can't inevitable.
Yep.
But if you're there, they got to learn. Otherwise, they're not going to learn from it.
Yeah, like walking into an open cupboard's a bit different to pulling a pot of boiling water off the stove, like that. And that's the thing, you've got to, it's about, hey, no, and then picking them up and showing them, see, look, this is dangerous, dangerous, or let them go into the cupboard,
Yeah. No, explore.
Yeah, that's right. What do you think is most important when building trust and rapport with young people? So if you were to build trust and rapport with these young people at the park, what do you think is most important in a nutshell?
Being a friend.
Yeah.
It's I'm a leader as well. I lead a big team at CAT, but I learned the hard way as well by not being a forceful leader and or trying to demand respect. Can't demand respect, and I learned the hard way. Yeah. And it's like, right, you got to earn respect. Yeah. It's like, actually, maybe not even searching respect. If you can do it and you get respect without even aiming for it, then you did well, because actually you've brought yourself on the same level as them. Yeah. Same with the kids. It's like, I can't just go storming in like an adult. I mean, and again, you kind of want to be that the cool dad kind of vibe thing. I'm not going to be, because I'm not their level. I don't know the things they're watching, the music they listen to. Yeah. But I can just kind of do as much as I can to be a mentor. Yeah. I think that's the most important thing, and be that guide for them to go, look, trust me when I say I've made the mistakes and they've been much worse than what you're doing right now. Yeah. But I could have got away with those things before, but you can't get away with that stuff now. No. Everything's being filmed, everything's being documented, and it's like, learn from this now before you get a real big hiding or mistake. Well,
my son Flynn, he's got this obsession at the moment with abandoned buildings. So he wants to go into abandoned buildings, and I'm like, mate, I've been taken by the police out of multiple abandoned buildings. I've been brought home, and I've watched mum, crying in the lounge because it's the third time that I've been brought home by the police. I've had them come into my room and tell me that all these road signs that I've got all over my walls have to be taken back, and we had to take them all back. And I remember there was one time where we got into this abandoned bread factory on Colombo Street and drove this forklift around.
Wow.
And there,
turn the forklift on.
Well, the forklift was in a part of the building that had been locked up that we couldn't get into for ages, but we found a way in. And when we realised the forklift was there, we went down to the mobile station. We hired a gas can. I was probably 15 at that point, 14, 15. We got a gas can. There was three of us. We'd been skateboarding around, so we skated in, filled $10 worth of gas into this forklift that took 91, and I got it going. We got it going, and I drove it through this wall, effectively had it at the wall on the front of the forklift, and then we were at one point, I had my mate right up on the top on the forks, high as they would go, and we were going around in circles, and the thing almost tipped. So but anyway, we went to the gas station. We told this seventh former that was there, year 13 student, who was working what we'd done, and either he called the cops or his boss. But we were skating into town actually to go to Time Zone and Time Out as it was called then, but police car came on our side of the road. There's another one on the other side, another one behind us, and they said to us, right, get in the car. So they took us back there, and they said, one of the cops, as he was walking in there, massive, looked like a rugby forward. As we were walking in there, he almost slipped, and he turned to me and he goes, if I slip over in here, I'm going to snap your fucking neck. And I remember as this 14-year-old thinking, oh my God, this adult male in a position of authority just told me he was going to snap my neck.
I'm in an abandoned warehouse.
I'm in an abandoned warehouse. Yeah. And I just, at that point, I didn't really understand at that point what the police had to go through daily. Yeah. He was probably looking at us like, you're wasting our fucking time. Yeah. And I get that. But it's a formative memory for me. I remember vividly that and thinking, I don't even know if I'm safe right now. And I think that with Flynn, I want to let him make his mistakes. And I said to him, at the moment, you're in the absolute top tier of trust that you have with us. You've got a PlayStation, you've got your phone. We trust you to be out on your own doing things. I said, but if you get brought home by the police for being in an abandoned building, all that disappears. And suddenly I need to put a plan on your phone so I can see where you are at all times, and you're going to be restricted on the apps you can use, because he's found out about these places on TikTok. Right. And there's guys selling maps to all the abandoned buildings in Christchurch, and And so I said to him, look, if you do go into these buildings, I can't stop you. But I tell you, I'd much rather you came across the police than a meth addict who just sees you as a resource. Because, mate, if he wants your phone, he's going to get your phone.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, he's going to use it to buy drugs or whatever he's going to do with it, and he doesn't care about your safety. So it's not going to feel like things have gone wrong until you're in that position and you've actually been hurt and you're walking out of this building, if you're lucky, without your phone and any way of contacting us.
And does his mates know how to get him out of the situation?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So there's all sorts of things there. And I think, it's obviously, and like we say with the boiling water analogy and things, there's times to say don't. Mm-hmm. And there's times to say, I've been there. I've done this, don't. But there's also times to guide them through it. And I tried, I said to him, if you want to go into buildings, tell me and I'll take you there and we'll have a look if we can. Because if we can, we might be able to talk to the neighbours and say, hey, look, is this
the right way to do it?
Yeah. And I wish my dad had done that. I wish my dad had said to me, look, let's go do it, dedicated some time to it. But, he did the best he could.
Yeah. And like you say, it's the right authority as well.
Yes.
I've had my interactions with police as well, and they've been mainly positive because skaters, and in the UK, I think differently now. If you see a collection of kids, like a group of kids here, they'll most likely turn around and go, hey, how's it going, or something like that. In the UK, you got to be scared of those kids. Right,
it's dangerous, eh?
Yes, the police are just constantly turn up to scenes where some old ladies had her teeth kicked in for no reason. Yeah.
For groups of kids?
Yeah, just groups of kids.
What ages?
Just 14, 16.
Really?
Yeah. There's like gangs as well if they want to get involved there. It's like.
And what's their motivation? They're just violent, or they
want to just one up on each other and they think it's a joke, or
I've having a presence.
Yeah, and I've seen these groups before, and like you steer clear of them. But the skaters, they kind of think they're mixed up in the same thing, but they're not. I'm just here to hit the curb.
I see. Yeah.
So the police, they do turn up and they're like, oh, I just hear there's some, we've got a noise complaint, or we'll just come to see what's going on.
Yeah.
And they see it and they're like, oh. They say, well, actually, you're doing something that's productive.
You're just being kids being kids.
Yeah, and I've seen one is like, we're riding my moped in the park.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have done. And obviously, the police cars come straight down. And then, lo and behold, they're down the end, they're coming up. But the other guy's looking at ordering the kebab and they're going, well, I can see you're not doing anything too crazy. We're just going to go get some food. But, the neighbours,
Yeah, right, yeah.
So it's a bit of like don't have us coming back.
Yeah,
because of that. And I go, yeah, cool. So it's like
exercising a bit of discretion.
Yeah, but then you got the other ones where there's these the cops that aren't cops, the community support officers.
Oh yeah.
And I ran into one, and it was just like, he was the biggest arsehole.
He would be. He's got something to prove.
Because I didn't have my driver license on me at the time, so he follows me home, and then I go, and my parents open the door, and they see what they think is a police, because he's dressed up in the police outfit, but he's not. And he's demanding to see my driver's license. We don't have to, so you can produce it in 7 days, but he felt the need to do so with no authority at all. And it's kind of like, as soon as he left, and my parents see the situation and go, he's a bit of an arsehole, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's like, but then I don't look at thinking all the cops are the same, because I've had positive interactions with the others as well.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
It's like, but then, like you say, I was wasting their time.
Yep.
And they could be out there saving someone else's life.
Yep, they're human beings at the end of the day. Like that cop that dealt with me walking into that building, he could have been an alcoholic. He could have been the end of his shift. There's all sorts of different reasons that, these things happen. But again, it woke me up. The reason that we have come together is through a video that I put on social media. So, when would it have been? May? I think it was in May.
By that time, yeah.
Yeah, so basically what happened was my son Flynn, he's 12, he had gotten to mountain biking maybe a month before this video was published. So effectively what happened was I'd given him my GoPro Max, which is a 360-degree camera made by GoPro. It basically films in all directions at all times. And I said to him, why don't you take this? You can use it for your on the trails and get some footage, and you can put it on your TikTok, or you send it to people on Snapchat. I'll show you how to use the editing app and that. So he had this mounted to his helmet on his brand new bike, and he was just getting used to mountain biking, like it was quite new for him. And he had already filmed quite a few of his runs, and on this particular run, he was almost back at the start, wasn't he? He was down the very bottom. He was at the bottom. And so the video shows him going past a jump, and he's like, oh, oh, I didn't do it. He's angry at himself for not doing it. He's like, oh, well, next time, I'll do it. He comes around this kind of hairpin and he misjudges it. He goes down a bit that's quite steep and then gets kind of taken off to the right, but there's a little kind of upward bit and then a downward, and his wheel goes into that and he gets kind of thrown over the handlebars. He wasn't hurt, but he landed kind of on his front. Going over the handlebars is scary. It's a shock. You suddenly, you're so you don't have any control over what's going on anymore. Everything's stopping and you just have to deal with it as it happens. And he was thrown forward. He landed kind of on his head and his shoulder. And when he got up, you could immediately hear someone yell out if he was all right. And then he was kind of trying not to cry. You could see it was quite an emotional situation for him. Just a shock. I mean, being 12 and having that happen. And he takes his helmet off, and you can see in the video that he was just so concerned with whether he'd broken the camera or not. Because I said to him, mate, this is an $800 camera.
I set the bar.
I did. I felt so bad because when I watched the video back, I said, he said, I had the crash and these guys helped me. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll have a look at it, And I looked at it back and I was like, oh my God, the whole thing's filmed. This is amazing. How cool. Yeah. When we got home, I watched the whole video and it was emotional to watch, man. Like, I watched it back 3 or 4 times and I was like, fuck, this is hard, because he was upset. You got your 12-year-old son who's upset on his own. I wasn't there. I wanted to be there for him. Couldn't be, but watched these other 2 dudes come over. Mm-hmm. And then it was Jono and Aaron, and Jono sat with him, told him he didn't have to move. It was okay. Asked him what happened. Empathize with him, his tone, his body language, everything. He sat with him, but he didn't sit facing him. He sat with him, like facing the same way as him. Let him cry, let him work out how he was feeling, all these things, and kind of both him and Aaron were just concerned about his well-being in the moment. Another guy was there, I don't know who he was, but he kind of directed traffic around them. And he asked him, did you come over the front of your bike? He's like, oh, damn, like empathizing in that way as well. And then, but reasonably quickly too, they were like, anything broken? You feel like you're okay to stand up? Do you want to carry on? And they carried on. And it was, when I saw the video, I was like, I have to find these guys. Like, I was like, at the very least, just to say thanks, right? I just wanted to basically say thank you for doing the things that I wanted to be able to do in the moment, but I wasn't there to do. Because Flynn was fine, but it was just nice to be able to have him go through that with that lesson. And I guess the extra value that's there was that it shows Flynn that there are other adult men out there who will step in, and that they've modelled compassion to him within the sport. And so anyway, I took the video and I chopped it up and I put on there, look, I'm trying to find these 2 guys. This happened at the adventure park. If anyone knows who they are, could you reach out? Well, to date, it's had 2.9 million views and it had over 100,000, 110,000 likes with maybe 2,000 comments, and it's been shared all over the world. There was a guy in the States, an MMA artist, MMA dude who had over 1 million followers who shared it. Like, lots of people had shared it. And one of the big kind of underlying things in it was the sense of community. I've said to you, every second or third comment was people saying the mountain bike community is amazing. Now, GoPro reached out. They gave him a $1,500 worth of accessories and a camera and everything like that, which was really, really cool. But I've obviously been able to introduce. I caught up with Jono and Aaron and had a beer with them, was able to say thanks. They were actually identified within an hour on Facebook. Yeah. It went on Facebook as well. And they didn't realise that it would blow up as big as it did either. I think it's managed to funnel a wee bit of traffic to Jono's biking business, which is good. Yeah. But it's also made a few people at the adventure park aware of Flynn, which is really cool. And including yourself. Every time he comes back, he's like, oh, Morgan said to me, just to check in with him before when I come back down or things like that. He's stoked. And he said, and there's other people there who know who I am now, which is really, really cool. This incident obviously did receive this huge response online, highlighting the sense of community within the mountain biking world. What are your thoughts on this outpouring of support?
Yeah, well, first of all, it shows the sport itself. That the reason why you got Aaron and Jono two great dudes at the park. Anyway, everybody knows those dudes.
Do they?
Yeah, and I work with them quite well as well, like quite close.
Yep.
They're great characters, but it's like that's just mountain biker in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter who you're talking to, however how good they are, how rad they are, they know where they started, and that's where that comes from. They're like, right, you went over the bars, but you're injured, and it's like it doesn't matter how you fall off a bike, you feel foolish when you do it, and it's humbling, and that's really important because you do need to get a knockdown to go, right, I need to figure this out because you've already fallen from a height as it is.
Yeah.
And then you can break something pretty easily.
Yeah.
But it's that checking in, going, how are you? Is everything all right?
Yeah.
And because the one thing that all mountain bikers want to do first is go, how's my bike?
Yeah.
Or like,
in his case,
like,
how's the camera?
It's like, first of all, have you seen how those cameras can bounce off walls and cliffs? But it's like, but that's affirmed in his head, and it's like, but everybody's going to do the same thing. It's like, I've just spent thousands of dollars on this bike. It's wrecked. But it's like, no, hold on, just check in with yourself first.
Yeah.
Do your self check. How are you?
Yeah.
Bring it back to baseline. Yeah. Sit with him, not like forcefully there. Just like let him deal with the situation as you should do. Right. He's going through the mixed emotions. But, just let him have that moment, and then you come back to baseline and go, actually, yeah, I'm good. Yep. So it's that community vibe is like everybody's there doing the same thing.
Yes.
Everybody's got the same, even if you're going down and like, that's the intimidating thing about a skate park, right? You go there and like everybody's watching you. So it's all kind of like, oh. But on the trails, you can boost away.
Yeah. It's so big. The area is so big.
Yeah. So that's why I think everybody kind of grabs onto that as well because, I've mucked up on that route. All right, don't worry, I've got another one. Like your boy went, I missed that jump. It's like, cool, get on the lift and do it, go find it again.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not gone.
Yeah.
I just know I can do that next time.
Yes.
So you find those little challenges. It's like, how much in an hour and a half can shape your week compared to someone who's in that cubicle, they've woken up, had the same breakfast every morning, gone to work, done that, and then they found mountain biking, and it's like, wow, in an hour and a half, you've battled, you've challenged, you've overcome fear.
Yes.
You've found a new bar. You're stoked. You've found, like, so many things can happen in that hour and a half. That's why people get so, like, buzzed on it.
Yeah.
And your boy's seen that, and now he's getting you into the sport as well.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
It's like, because that's why it's growing so massively. It's like, it's a bike, right? And we forget these are toys, right? These are playthings. And when you get to adults, they're adults' toys. And I say that when I do my mechanical teaching, like, I just show you how to fix your toys.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's nothing super, like, it's not rocket science. It doesn't need to be. And if you start becoming that, getting that far ahead of yourself, like, bring it back.
I suppose, like a lot of things, it starts off as something functional and turns into something fun. Mm-hmm. Like cars, for example, weren't invented for racing. No. They would have been invented to get around. Yep. But then people enjoyed driving them. And they went, I wonder how fast we can get this to go. I wonder how hard I can corner in it and keep it on its wheels. It's all about that wondering, pushing the limits with it. And with a bike, they've become these toys, but they still serve a purpose as well.
It was a form of travel first. The bike, the roads were invented for bikes.
Yes, right.
Then cars went on it.
Yeah.
So the AA used to be bicycle support.
Right.
Back in the day. Yeah. People forget this. And there's the old argument where people go, get off the roads. It's like, it's for cars. Technically, let me just stop you there. It's for bikes first. And it's like road tax. You don't pay road tax yet because they've got no emissions.
Yeah.
But the bicycle came first. Right. And then, like you say, then it became, right, some dudes in California decided to just start tearing these down gravel roads, and then as fast as they could, they go, how fast can you? And then start getting motorbike parts to stick onto there, and then it developed into mountain biking.
I see.
So that was how it started.
Right, that is how it started. Oh, I see. I didn't really know. And back then, the bikes would have been pretty basic.
Cruisers.
Yeah, right, really?
Yeah.
It would have been rough.
Yeah. Beach cruisers.
That would have been rough.
With motocross bars.
Yeah.
No helmet, just baggy jeans and a vest and long hair and just shredding.
There would have been some injuries.
Yeah. But saying that, no, you're probably going way faster now.
Right. Yeah, right? Yeah. So you're capable of doing more now.
Yeah. Go back to the beginning and said you take that bike that's 20 years old, take it downhill now. It's terrifying.
Yeah, it would be.
You're being rattled and shaken.
Yeah.
Now suspension has made everything plush.
Yep.
So does mean the risks are getting greater because the technology's gone so advanced. You can just get into it quicker and faster.
Yeah, you'd pull yourself back on an older bike probably a lot more, or you wouldn't take that route. Or
the body can't take it.
No, it wouldn't.
Whereas the body can now.
Well, it can.
Until you hit the ground.
Yeah, that's right. And I guess it's the same even falling off at low speed. There's this almost false sense of security that develops because you feel balanced and you feel upright and you feel like everything's okay and manageable. It's like being in a car. Mm-hmm. You don't realise how hard the impact is crashing at 20 kilometres an hour even until you actually hit a brick wall at 20 kilometres an hour and everything in the car keeps moving, but, including you, the car doesn't. Like with a mountain bike, you fall off at even 10 kilometres an hour, your body is, you're not ready to move 10 kilometres an hour.
Yeah, plus it's always the small ones that hurt the most,
right?
Because you're not expecting it.
No, yeah, that's right.
And that's
the big ones, it's coming.
And you'll get someone who's like a double black rider, and they're an absolute sender, and they'll come into like the first aid and like, what do you do? He's like, I slipped on like a blue trail or something.
Right.
See, they're in like thin situations, like, oh man, this like, and they start going, oh, I suck.
Yeah.
Like, no, because you weren't switched on. You're going down the double black, or you're hitting the big jumps. You're switched.
You have to be.
And then the reaction times change. But then you'll just be tootling down something, and you get a bit distracted, and you weren't ready for it, and bang, you just hit a tree. And you're like, oh man, because I wasn't expecting to fall off.
Yeah, no, that's right.
So it's those ones that suck.
It's almost that complacency happens when you're feeling complacent.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. So just to touch briefly on GoPro reaching out to Flynn after this accident, they gifted him this camera and other accessories. This gesture seems to kind of highlight how the mountain biking community extends beyond just the people in the park. How do you see brands and kind of the broader industry contributing to this sense of kind of belonging and support? Is that a thing?
Yeah, and I hope they come back to that because there's a lot going on in the cycle industry now. And I used to work for a big company in the UK, one of the biggest retailers on the planet. Distributions anyway, and it was very corporate, and a lot of these businesses get the suits, but they're coming back now. Like recently, Kona have bought back their company, the original founders, and Troy Lee Design's just done that as well.
Right.
So they sold it to the suits, and then they've effectively messed it up.
Yeah.
Because they tried to put a price tag on it.
I see.
And now they've gone, no, well, they've bought it back, probably cheaper than they sold it for. So they made a bit of money themselves, but they're going true to the sport.
Yeah.
They got into it because they found a love for it, and they started making kit. There was a market for it because, wow, this is probably missing, and kept going with it. But now mountain biking is expensive.
Right.
And it's becoming a bit elitist in that regard as well. So with the brands reaching out, it's going to get more people stoked on it, which is what you need.
Yeah.
But at the same time, then I guess that was a difficult conversation when Flynn turned around and said, I want to get a mountain bike. And you go, cool. And you shop and go, how much?
Yeah, well, I said to him, we've got to sell other things.
Yeah.
So we sold I bought him like a quad motorbike years ago and a little two-wheeler motorbike as well. And I said to his mum, we'll just sell those two things. He doesn't really use them as much, and we'll put that into mountain biking. And I guess it was him coming into high school age as well. It was like, here's something he can use for transport. It is functional as well as recreational. Mm-hmm. So it was a bit of both.
Yeah, we need more people in the sport. We need more access with it as well.
Yeah,
and it's reach.
Yep.
So cameras are the best thing to get the reach out. Then it does show. I know some people like started on bikes that cost probably like $100,
right,
and started racing the world circuit,
right.
Like won races on these bikes.
Yeah,
and it's
really on the cheap bike.
Yeah, there's a chick called Jess Stone. She still rides today.
Right.
And she started on a cheap bike from Halfords.
Yeah,
and her journey is incredible. And she's turned a World Cup racer. And you don't have to have the flashy stuff.
No, strong roots.
And at the park, there is a bit of that as well. Some parents have got cash, and then some kids don't, and they're the ones shredding. And I fix these these relics that come into the store.
Yeah.
But I know I see it in their face and they're going, oh man, it's like, look, I'll get you going.
Yeah, that's right.
Get you going. I'm going to make sure it's safe.
They need more support.
Yeah. They need, and if it's going to go like, hey, I've got some spare bits, I'm going to get it back together.
Yeah.
And they're stoked because it's like, you tell them the price tag straight away and they're like, oh, it's like, look, I'll get you back out of it.
Yeah.
And you can see it from them. They've
got the fire.
Yeah.
Often those ones.
You need the fire in your belly.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're the ones that are going to go, but they're the ones that check in with us as well.
Yes.
They're cool. And they find their own group of mates in collection.
Yep.
And it's like, you just want to get them back on the trail as soon as possible. That's kind of what they're for.
I was the same when I was a teenager, with my snowboarding and even skateboarding. I was always only getting new skate shoes when they were on sale, and they were the cheap ones that were already on sale.
Because you're going to wreck them anyway.
No, I know. Yeah, you literally, they're on sandpaper all day. Yeah. And like the decks were blanks. I always had blank decks, but I liked that. And I almost had this it was part of my identity was that I had these blank decks. Other people were getting these expensive decks and ruining them straight away on their first board slide. And I'm like, why would you? I've just got this blank, $80 blank, and I'm like, it's fine. And actually, I learned to love them. But even with snowboarding, I had the X rental boots that were one size too small, and I had ingrown toenails from that. And Mum was a student; she was working, but she was managing to pay for the I'd get a season pass for Cheeseman, which was $80 a year at that point.
Wow!
But I would only be able to get the van up when the conditions were right and the van was going to Cheeseman. But it was awesome. I made it work. And for that reason, now when I go to the ski field and my mates are like, we're just going to go from 9 till 12, I'm thinking to myself, that doesn't feel right to me. But there's a reason. It's because when I was a teenager, I was there till it closed.
Oh, there's effort here as well.
I was doing runs every day, all day. I was so sore by the end of it. But I had to maximize that whole day. And so I had that fire, that was I loved it. I breathed it. And I honestly would look at the other kids there. I still, when I'm in the lines and I'm looking around at people with helmets, everyone has a helmet nowadays. But when I was young, a helmet was a luxury.
Well, I started biking and it was like, helmets, or even guys in magazines weren't wearing helmets, or it's like helmets worth, do you wear it or not?
Yep.
And it's like, I got one. And then it was 4 months into mountain bike and I went out and took right advice from people. That's the other reason why I like to educate others is like, don't take advice off your mates, because my mate was a BMXer. So I took his 60 PSI pressure as a all right, I'll put that on my wheels. Yeah. And it's like, couldn't make the first turn on the first descent. We made the effort to take the train out, get their group of mates. We've all planned it for the week. And then I nail myself at 11 o'clock and I'm sent off to A&E, cracked my elbow, a massive dent in the temple side of my helmet.
Wow. Oh, on the helmet?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just that could have switched me off.
Yeah.
That would be it.
Yeah, I mean, like they were a luxury. To me, they were a luxury. And I remember having some pretty significant head injuries and neck injuries and things from snowboarding without them.
The people on this, I just come back from Craigie for 3 days. And it's like, even there, when you see some people not wearing a helmet, you're like, the speed you hit on skis or a snowboard,
especially sometimes ice,
and you think, oh, it's snow. It's like, not all snow.
No, it's not.
It's not all snow right now either. There's a lot of rocks.
Even the snow, like you can still, your head's far more vulnerable without that helmet on there. It's less distance to your shoulder. More distance to your shoulder if it gets pulled. Things like that. More distance to your back.
Yeah,
all that stuff. And I think about people wearing helmets now. That's what I was going to say. It's the luxury. It's the other ones with all the gear, the money. I wasn't that kid. No, I didn't have the money. I didn't have the gear. No, but I made it work. I snowboarded all day, giving myself ingrown toenails from having short boots that were too small. Yep, and I was in pain. But I was doing it, I was just doing it. I bet
you were the guy that they phone up and go, you want to come snowboard? And go, yes.
Yes, absolutely. 100%, mate, every time.
And you're at the driveway, rather than you rock up to somebody
40 minutes early.
Making a cup of tea. And it's like, I'm just going to put my kit together. It's like, dude, I had this yesterday.
Yeah,
I've got to get the first run.
I know, yeah.
And it's like, so you've taken the time and effort because you want to be there. And then you're also the guy that doesn't have the excuses.
No.
It's like, that's big in mountain biking now. You can spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
You got the people that just sit at the trailhead and just yarn and go, I've got this and this and this. You go, okay, but can you use it?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's why those kids that are like their bike is falling to pieces and they've come into the shop for some other reason, and you go, do you know the wheel's about to fall off? And you go, oh, did you check this? He's like, nah. No. Like, right, let me show you.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to do it, and I'm going to show you what to do and how to fit. And they go, oh shit, thanks, Morgs, I didn't know that. And they come back, and the next time they go around going, yeah, thanks for that. I've learned a lot, and they keep shredding, keep them safe, and because they're the ones then hyping their mates up to do better as well.
Yep.
And it keeps moving forwards.
Yep.
That's what I kind of get stoked on too.
They're the ones that are a bit more out of touch with the sport, aren't they? Like the ones that are not necessarily, they're not there. Well, they're not going to be as in touch as the people who live it and breathe it. Mm-hmm. It's not, for them, it's about almost there's nothing wrong with this, but for them, it's more about the atmosphere. It might be just about the community, more so than it is about the sport. But the people that it's really about the sport. Yeah, you could have people where it's like the sport is a byproduct of the community. They love the community. And other people, the community is the byproduct of the sport. And for for me with snowboarding when I was young, the community was the byproduct of the sport.
Yep.
The sport was why I was there. I was there to do it. Now it's the other way around. I love it, don't get me wrong, but I really enjoy the experience of going. And with paragliding, it started off as the sport was the thing. Now I enjoy the community. It's probably a bit more balanced. But I guess again, you're going to be prone to equipment failing and things like that if you're not really looking, if you've had it bought for you, if you've had all the money put into it, all these kind of things, you're generally not looking after it as well as you might be if it was, something that you value so highly.
If it's given to you for free, you're not going to value it. If you busted your ass off to earn it, you're going to look after it. It's like skateboarding, for instance. If anybody go, oh, my deck's broken, go, just use mine quick, I'm having a break. And they come back and go, Morgs, your board is incredible. I go, yeah, because I service everything on it.
You set it up right.
I want it to work. Your board is always set up. And it's like the same now. I've got a work bike, and then I go, hey, I'm not going to use mine today. Take mine quick. And they come back and go, yours is dialed. And go, yeah, because I look after it.
Yeah.
And it's like, you wax a snowboard and you repair it, and you go, I've got to repair mine now. I got dinks, but you want to make sure it's perfect for when you go out.
Yes.
Because you want to get the best out of that day.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy rocking up and going,
shit, my binding's coming off.
Yeah, I've got to go to the shop real quick. And then your mates are going, come on, it's like there's no friends on a powder day.
No, that's right.
And that's true form. But now it's like my mates the same. Like even surfing, same group of dudes I went up this weekend. We surf together as well. And it's but I make sure I'm the first person that if they come and go, I'm going to come pick you up on the way. It's like, yep, I'm on the curb with my kit. They rock up. It's I'm like, let's go.
Let's go. Yeah.
Let's not waste this.
You're providing motivation to keep moving. Yeah.
And you might turn up and there's no waves. Or you might turn up and it's like, or we had it yesterday, we thought it was going to be an epic powder day. We were waiting for all week, frothing. And then it wasn't quite that day. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you showed up but you're all there together to do it.
Right.
And a lot of that happens here, like Mount Hutt, for instance. If it's dumped, I won't go there.
No,
I'll go to the clubbies.
Yeah, that'd be much
I want to go there, and it's effort. Nutcracker, everybody hates it. That's why I love it.
Yeah.
And it's like you can get 5 epic runs in a day of clear powder, or fight everyone else and hit the queue, and then you go, oh, I've been here for 2 hours. Because you chose the wrong field.
Yeah, that's right. We were very lucky last Monday, actually. It was beautiful. We went to Hutt and there was very little lines. It was crazy. But people had opted for the Friday, which was another powder day.
Yep.
My mate that went up both days, he said the Monday was much better. So we kind of cracked it.
Should have been here yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Given the risks that modern social pressures pose, what advice would you give to young boys or their parents on finding healthy outlets and building resilience?
For parents first, I think, is letting them have the opportunity to have some freedom.
Letting the kids have the opportunity. Yeah.
It's like, as a parent, I'm a new parent still, and you want to protect your child as much as you can.
Yep.
But there's going to be a day that I'll, like I did, right, I'm going to go to the other side of the planet.
It's got to be a handover.
Yeah. So, but making sure I've given them enough tools to be able to deal with that.
Yeah.
I think that's what parents need to kind of understand, is that crucial time you're making them to be the best human they can be.
Yeah.
And to be an asset to the world.
Yeah.
Rather than right, you're only mine. It's like, no, you brought them into the world and now you've got to mold them.
Yeah, there's got to be that transition, where a bird would push its young out of the nest. I think we're one of the only, we might be the only, be safe to say we're one of the only species on this planet that actually has contact with our young right through its life, or right through our life anyway. We've got a very long childhood, we've got a very long adulthood in relation to a lot of other things, but we actually provide input into that, into our offspring's life all the way through. So there's got to be natural transitions where we allow them to become kind of autonomous adults. And I think a lot of adults they haven't left the nest, even though they've physically left the nest. Some of them check in with their parents every day, and that's, it's not to say there's anything wrong with that specifically. If it works for you, it works for you, but there's got to come a point, I think, where a healthy relationship with your parents is that there is a degree of severance in terms of taking on personal responsibility.
Yeah, and it's the new one I've heard recently is like, parents want to be friends with their kids. Yeah. And you shouldn't. No. It's like, it will happen if you've done it right, but you don't want to push them away so much. It's like, oh man, you're just embarrassing, which will happen. Yeah. I want to be the cool dad. And what I do is like, I got a really good relationship with my mum and dad. I try to call them as much as I can, probably not enough. Yep. But they were my parents, and they were very strict in what I couldn't do. Yep. And at the time, you're kind of like, oh man, this sucks. It's like, but then when you get older, you go, that makes sense. Yeah, there's a reason. There was boundaries, and I needed boundaries, and it's like, okay, I wasn't disciplined in I knew right from wrong, but I could kind of question things because I'm quite creative anyway. And go, that doesn't seem quite right. Yeah. But then not push back, just ask more questions to like see where they're coming from, and to go, oh, no, that makes sense now. I'm like, no, this sucks, and like shut the door on it. Yeah. It's like for the kids as well, on the other side of it, be like, ask the questions. Like, if you don't think it's right, ask why. Yeah. Because if they're coming with emotion, okay, it might be that. But if they're coming with facts, then listen to that as well. Yeah. And don't lie. Right. If you lie,
as a child or a parent,
as a child, you learn as an adult, because as you do it as a child. Because I learned that because I had an older sister that would do everything wrong, and I go, all right, well, I can see this goes in punishment, and she'll just double down, and it's like an argue, and then when it came to me, if I did something wrong, it was punishment, and I go, okay, my dad would be like, what?
Accept it. Yeah,
did wrong. I've learned. It's like
accountability.
Yeah, because otherwise, if you lie, then if it gets brought up again, you go, oh, it's because of this. And you got to make that story in your head again and go, and it changes. And it's lying is, initially it's probably quite successful, and you avoid a negative outcome. Yeah, and it feels like, oh, the pain I was going to get is gone. It's not going to. It's instant relief.
The thing I'm afraid of here, I might be able to avoid it. Yeah. So you lie. Then if that pays off, that's positively reinforced. So you're like, oh, I didn't get the consequence that I'm supposed to get. Now
do this again.
I'm going to do that again. And then it gets to the point where you get caught out in a few lies, so then the heat's on. Suddenly it's not as easy for you to get away with them anymore. And you start having to get more complex with your lies. And then eventually you get into a habit where effectively that's what you do. If you did that as a child, you'll do that as an adult. It might even be lying. You might lie about something to make yourself seem more important than you are, or, lie about your achievements and things like that. So if you get a positive outcome from telling a story that's not correct, you're going to continue to do that. But then when you get caught out and you get a reputation for doing that, it's very hard to, even if you have learnt the lesson, come back from that, because people still see you as someone who's dishonest.
Yeah, the bullshitter.
As a bullshitter, it's like, we can't even take what he says seriously, because realistically it's probably not. It hasn't been previously. So when you start taking accountability for your mistakes and things, that's the only way really to change people's opinion of you, is to say, yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was me.
It sucks.
Yes, that was me.
It sucks.
It sucks,
and it's like you've got to, even professionally now, it's like if I have to tell someone off, or it's going to be a disciplinary or something like that, it's like, yes, it may look like, oh, it was nothing for them, like arsehole was like, eats at me. Yeah. So it's not fun.
No,
but you've got to do it. Yep. It's like, because it's honest.
I think it's about being comfortable with the way you tell someone off. For me, I'm comfortable telling Flynn off and things, because I know there's a time to be authoritative, and there's a time to be but every time there needs to be a debrief. He needs to understand why.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. So, I think that as long as you're confident in your ability to deliver it, then that should be the main thing that you work on. I think every parent or everyone in a position of authority needs to know how to deliver a consequence in a way that's constructive and it doesn't break the person.
Yeah, it's leaning on that. It's like, with being an instructor, there's the why and there's the why too.
Yes. Yep.
Like to reaffirm the lesson as well.
Yep.
Not like, just do this and go, why? It's not, because I want you to. It's like, because it's going to better this.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's a reason for it.
Yeah, that's right.
That's why everything I like to do, there's always a reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
Every time we've got to discipline someone, every time we've got to delegate a task, there's a reason for it.
Yes.
It's like, it's not because I want you to do it.
No.
It's more like, because this needs to be done and this is why.
Yeah.
Just so everybody can learn from that too.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just going along the day and be like, it's like just demands. It's like, no, it's not. It's like there's reasons for everything to happen.
Yep.
And I think that's a great thing to come in as a parent is to like if you're disciplining or you're trying to educate or reaffirm something that you've stopped them before it was happening.
Yep.
Okay, you stopped it, but then reaffirm it with the why and why too, because you've stopped from them from getting hurt, and they might not learn from that now.
You've effectively stopped a potential lesson, so you've got to deliver the lesson.
Yeah.
And you've got to deliver it in a way where it's going to have some impact. If you prevent something happening, that thing was probably going to serve quite a purpose. And I guess you've got to be willing to decide if, what is this thing I'm preventing happening? If I prevent it, am I preventing it for a good enough reason? And then if I am, can I give the same impact in my lesson as the lesson it would have given them?
And if it works, because then the kid will say that to his mates.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And it's like, and they'll learn from that as well.
Yeah.
And they'll need to listen. It's like, okay, he feels angry. He feels like, the world's against me. It's like, you're young.
Yeah.
Patience. Give it time. Enjoy this life right now.
Yeah. You know what it's like too when you have someone who's really good at something or is so much better than you or so much further ahead in life, and they, at a time where you're going to be told off, they deliver some real knowledge or some like, hey, I'm going to tell you a story now. And you're expecting a punishment, but you get this story and you're like, oh, wow, it has such an impact. I remember times where I've been told off and I'm expecting the worst, and I get this like lesson and this almost way of relating to the person who's told me off or is telling me off. And I'm like, I have so much more respect for them because I'm like, he was me at one point, he was in this position and he can see that. And I do that kind of stuff too. I know the value those moments have. So I think that like, when I was young, that would have been awesome. It was awesome when that happened. And I still remember some of the lessons that people gave me where they gave me advice, and I'm like, I've never had to put it into practice, but I know it's the first thing I would think to do in that situation, because I'd be like, he was the man and he told me to do that in that situation, and I'm pretty sure that would work because he was so good at that thing,
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's like, doing any kind of activity, find someone that's better than you at it.
Yes.
Or in business, find someone that's better than you.
Or multiple people.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I've still got thirst for knowledge, and I'm still educating every time. Like if I'm not at work, I'm trying to better myself as a leader by educating and finding coaches as well, and podcasts, any kind of information, just better myself, but learn from their mistakes too.
Yep.
Because you're the master of your own experiences.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then if you can understand other people's experiences as well, something might click on.
Yeah, for sure.
And reaffirming that as yourself, and then try and deliver that to others as well.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's a ticket without a doubt.
But it comes back, what's the worst one they say is like, oh, I'm not angry, but I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
And if they can say the story of that as well, you see like, because you can see they're taking the time out of their day. It could be like, just do it. And it's like, no, I'm going to tell you, because they can see something in you.
Yeah.
You can see something in yourself as well from them.
Yeah.
And then that's a way better learning curve. Not everybody has the time for it or the patience for it as well, but I love those moments too, where someone can go like, let me just give you a bit of life's lesson now. And it could have been a really expensive mistake if it's professional too. Yeah. You got to have that, because rather than, you can get bullies now in professional environment as well. And some will just storm in and go, it was their fault. Yeah. It's like, okay, well, there's two thumbs standing right back at you when you're pointing those two fingers.
Yeah.
And if someone can guide you in that best way, it's it's a really valuable lesson.
Yeah.
And the more people take that on board, because sometimes you try it yourself and you can see that they're glazing over. You know? You can't help everyone.
No, I know.
But you can't stop trying as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most important thing I find. Is like, it comes back to that thing we were saying, like, if 9 people are having a great time with those 10 people.
Yeah.
Or no, other way, sorry. 9 people are having a shit time with that one guy's having a great time. Or the other way around, 9 people are having a really good time and one person having a shit time. Then it's, don't focus on the one, focus on the 9.
Yeah, that's right.
Because maybe they're just not having a great time.
Yep, it could be anything else going on there too. And there's, even if there was only one person having a great time and everyone else isn't having the best time, it doesn't necessarily mean they're not enjoying themselves or they're not learning something or they're not, getting something out of it.
Just right in that moment then.
Yes. Yeah,
but
yeah.
It's that what they call it, is it phase B or type B fun.
Right, yeah.
Like at the time, it sucks, but then they'll look back and go, remember that day?
I look at that with all my military stuff. Like I'm like, that sucked. Yeah. At the time, I remember being in very serious discomfort, but I look back and I'm like, that was awesome. Yeah. It was cool. I miss it. I wish I could go back.
It's great because then you can use that another time and going, oh, this sucks. And you go, actually, it doesn't suck that bad. Yeah,
well, like with Flynn, when he complains about stuff, often I'm like, hey, mate, it could be, and I know that's never constructive. It's not always constructive to be like, I like to use the analogies of like, I bring up politics or conflict, things like that are going on right now, and he's complaining about something, and I'm like, mate, at least we're not getting shelled right now. Like just understand we're very lucky to be in this country, and I know a lot of people say this kind of thing, but yeah, I think.
But it takes it away from you because after a while they'll be like, oh, another story from Dad.
Yeah, I know.
It's like,
that's right.
It's like, but then go, well, look at this scenario and this scenario. It's like, put yourself in their shoes, and are your problems as big as theirs? Yeah,
and I think it's the role of parents, isn't it, to give perspective? Because often as kids, we only really focus on what's right in front of us. Mm-hmm. We're like, my life sucks because of these things, and we go, well, okay, a punishment that I always had in store for Flynn if things got really bad was, right, I don't care what the weather's doing, we're going for a 3-hour walk in the rain up on the hill. I'm going to put a few rocks in your backpack, you can carry that, and we'll just walk, because I'm happy doing that. Like, I'm fine.
And we think that's training now.
Yeah, you would have.
It's like rucking.
Yeah. But for him, it would be a bit of perspective. We can spend the afternoon doing that, or you can listen to me when I tell you to pick your clothes up off the bathroom floor.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think more parents need to do that as well.
Yeah.
And embrace the suck.
Yeah. That's it. We've come full circle back to what we started with, didn't we? With just finding the uncomfortable stuff.
Yeah. And then, I start my day now with uncomfort. Yeah. Like cold plunge.
Yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah. You got a proper one. See, I've
made one.
I've got the Temu $50 thing. Yeah. Drop a couple of bread bricks of ice in the morning, but every morning that's my non-negotiable.
Right.
For my mental health. That's key. My mental health first, and I can be a better parent.
Yeah.
And I start my day with suck, because then the rest of the day is going to be manageable.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't understand that either.
No.
You've got to have suck every day, because then, that email that's come through from Bridget from accounting.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's fine. I'll get back.
I've experienced worse already today.
I sucked for 5 minutes in the cold fridge. I didn't want to do it, but I did it. Yeah. And it's like, just get out of the way.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so looking back at your journey, what advice would you give to your younger self, particularly in navigating the bullying and finding your purpose?
Be true to who I am.
Right.
It's... don't change my personality, because don't try to mold it into other people's perspective. Yeah. Like, just try to find the right people that get me. Yeah. And stick with those guys. So important, being your true self. Yeah. Yeah. And then those guys and girls that they gel with you. They're like, and they get each other. They're like, cool. You don't have to have a massive friend base. You just need a couple that like really get you. Yep. You don't have to please everyone. And I was lucky in a sense. I had a really supportive parents. If something went wrong, I could chat to them, and I could cry on their shoulder. And my dad was always positive. Yeah, and he could have gone buck up. We didn't.
Yep.
And I think, you know, that's super valuable as well. And it's come on, you know, to this day. That's kind of the one thing that got me through the whole bullying stuff. I could have gone bad. I could have gone down a suicidal route.
Yep.
But I didn't, because it's like, I got so much love from my parents. And it's like, they've shown me to respect life as what it is and enjoy it for what it is.
I think, like, you know, that there's that social pressure to be what you think other people want you to be. And it's very easy for us to put on this front that we're this, you know, I'm not A, I'm B. But then with social media, it increases the group size so much that you're like, actually, I'm C, you know, and then what we realize is that it takes a long time to realize that trying to impress a huge amount of people is never going to work. You can't, because there's always going to be people that don't like whatever you put forward.
Someone hates you. It's like, fine, that's their problem.
Yeah.
You don't need to bend over backwards for Bob 204 from whoever because he said a shitty comment.
Yeah.
Like, he's just having a bad day.
I think it's really hard to face rejection, though, when you know you're putting your authentic self out there forward. If you were to put out something, you know, some fake persona, and then you were like, I'm going to go be friends with these guys, and they don't really, one person doesn't like you very much. You're like, well, that's not really me anyway. You don't know that consciously, but if you were to put yourself out there authentically and people don't like you, you really take that to heart. It's hard, but it's much better.
Yeah. It's
because you'll find
free.
The right people.
Yeah.
The right people will find you. You know, it's like when I started putting myself out there authentically, I found people that liked me, and they are so much better for me than the people that were around me when I wasn't doing that, you know?
You can't have toxic people around you.
No.
It creates a toxic environment that you get comfortable with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've got to be free to do what you want to do. So some people, if they like to dance, go find people who dance.
They dance or accept you dancing.
Yeah. It's like you don't have to publicly show it if you want as well, but you find that. And then I met a guy on the weekend in Craigie who's like, I'm going down, I'm going to do some dancing here. He's this guy from Sheffield.
Yeah.
And like, this guy didn't fit this criteria. He's like, I'm going to go find dance. I'm like, good on you, dude. It's like he's found dancing. It's great. It's like, I want to be a painter. And it's like, or anything, or even like the guys at the gym, for instance. The gym is an intimidating place, and you can see some guys that obviously left gangs. Yeah, yeah. But they're there. They're doing the work. Yeah, that's right. It's like, but they're the nicest people because they realise they messed up, and like they're just trying to show their authentic self. Yeah, and they've probably found that now. Go, actually, I can be true to who I am. And they've also, what you see is someone who's actually been through a few different iterations of themselves. Mm-hmm. They might have facial tattoos and things that aren't as relevant now as they used to be. Mm-hmm. And you look at them and you think, fuck, okay, that's him. But you might talk to him and you go, okay, that's not him anymore. Yeah, there's this dude at the park that he's got, the whole skull cap tattoos as well. But the nicest guy. Yeah, man. They often are. If you look at the eyes. Yeah, you can tell. It's like Post Malone, right? Yeah. He's kind of like I think he's moved past the generation of the kids now. Yeah. But the kids kind of gravitate to that and it's like facial tattoo. But you see him in interviews and stuff, he's the nicest guy. Is he? Yeah. It's like, it's one guy I'd like to meet. But you look, just go to the eyes. Right. Yeah. That's the extension of the brain. Absolutely. The gateway to the soul. It's like, that's what it should be. Yeah. We're very, I did a course in non-verbal communication. You can tell a genuine expression from a non-genuine expression. We just pick up on it instinctively. You can see it. Mm-hmm. It's very hard. It's very hard to fake a genuine smile. Yeah. And it's very hard to hide a genuine smile. Did that at training when I was in the UK, and I found it from my reading as well. It's like, for anyone who does anything that on a phone job, it's like authentically smile. If you need to step yourself away before you do that phone call to get yourself back to baseline, meditate or something. Yes. Genuine smile. Yep. They can tell on the other end. Yeah, they can tell. And it's like, not a forced one, genuine one. Yeah. And then their mood will lift as well. Yep. And that's the greatest way to increase sales. It's like, right, you're here now. Embrace the suck. Get it on with. Yeah, but enjoy the moment where you're in it. Yep. Yeah, you can tell a smile even if you can't see them. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's crazy how the brain works. So what are your hopes for the Adventure Park and its role in supporting youth? Are there any kind of initiatives or ideas that you're excited to explore in the coming years? Yeah, CAP's here for a long time. Cool. Not just a good time. Yeah. like any business model, you want it to last forever. I think it's down to the people that they have there. You know, it's hiring on personality, not just qualifications. You have all the qualifications you want in the world, but if I've got to be around you for 8 hours and you're not cool. But if you've got that spark, we can teach the rest of it.
Yeah.
It's fine. But you need to have that personality. It's customer based, customer forward. That's what we're tuning on for. It's like the main ahead of the game is like, it's customer first.
Right. Yep.
Because they won't come if it's not a great environment for them.
You've got to interact with people when they're there, you know.
Yeah. And for the youth, I think it's a safe place. You know, like Flynn, it's come there, it's a safe place.
He feels safe. I feel safe leaving him there.
Parents do too. A bit too much so if they drop them off and kind of see you and they're like, but that's down to the parent. At the end of the day, they know where they are. And if I do know that the kids are there, or if they come to get a ticket from me and it's school holidays, they come from the other end of the country and the parents there and go, I'm just dropping off and going town, and go, okay, not much I can do about this, but kids are there. Right, here's the pass. Red number at the back, call the patrol, not your mum. Because we'll find you quicker than your mum will.
That's right.
Rather than the panic on the phone, it goes relay through. And then I go, right, who's got a phone on them? I go, I do, or one or two that go, cool, get it out. Has it got battery? Yes, cool. And all you know how you've got the phone, If the parent's going to be there and they're not going to ride with them, so right, you're going to check in every lap so you know where they are. Because it could be 45 minutes before they come back to the village. So the parent might be going, I haven't seen my kid for 2 hours as well. Check in every 4, so at least we know. And then you're going to let them know which trails you're going to go down. And what you're going to stick to. Right, stick to your grade. And giving them an education before they go out, not go out, here's a ticket, have fun. It's like, right, there's a few ways you've got to think about this. From my experience of being in the sport as well. And finding those misadventures. So I can educate them to not eliminate those or mitigate it completely, just to mitigate it, not to eliminate. So that they can get a better chance of having that fun rather than taking them home in a stretcher.
That's right.
Yeah,
it's a big place, isn't it? And I think yourself as you're an example of a point of contact there, that even just those little conversations you have, it could be a 10-second conversation, means that if they're there alone, they do have someone that they're checking in with, just even if it's very briefly. I know with Flynn, it meant a lot to him, I think, in that moment, knowing that you had said to him, is this your last run? He said, yeah, it's my last run. You said, come past and say hi on your way out. Just so that I know you've got off the hill. Okay, because after that, the lift's closed. I'm supposed to pick him up. But if I get there and he's not waiting, and I'm thinking, is he at his grandparents' house? Has he said, it could be another half hour, 40-minute, 1 hour delay before I even find out where he is or what's going on, if he has injured himself.
A lot can happen.
And if you hadn't heard from him 20 minutes after he said he was supposed to check in or whatever, then it's a case of, okay, well, maybe I should go looking for Flynn. And we have those scenarios in play, or not scenarios. So we have the mitigation in place, like redundancies.
There's last sweeps as well at the end of the day, so we'll check that. Or if
you go down all the trails or the main ones.
So the patrol will deal with that. And then we've got other ones if they're renting a bike from us, we have their number on the board and their photograph and their numbers as well. So if the bike doesn't come back at a certain time, we can set the protocol out of missing person. So it's not just an asset gone, it's the person, not the asset. It's the person we're recording. So that we go, right, where are they? And then just the word of mouth, like parents come down and go, and haven't seen my kid this one. Right, we've got lost child protocol, we've got lost person protocol. So far, good track record. Got everybody off the hill home safely. In some way or capacity. Can't guarantee they're all going to go back in one piece. But a few bumps and bruises here and there. But the future of the park, really, of what I'm trying to do there, is the education side of it. More than anything, is use the skills I've got. The knowledge is, for me, it's more of, I've got a passion. I'm doing a career that's a passion. But I find that if I was to drop dead tomorrow, it's gone. So how can I then pass that on? It's like my legacy of I've learned a few
more fires.
Pass it on to someone else. Or the stuff I'm going to be doing in the future myself is, putting that education out to the world. Like there's so much I've got locked in. And as much as I try to give that as much as I can, I can only reach 1 or 2 people a day.
Yeah.
So you need those scenarios like some people will listen, some people will resonate with it.
Yeah.
But it's just passing that knowledge on. So it's just not wasted.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's not let the fire and it's gone out. It's like, keep it going.
Yeah.
So that's the future. And I think that's what we're all trying to do at CAP as well.
Yep.
Is, you know, we've all got our own roles that can be stressful, but at the end of the day, it's all about the customer.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man. Thank you. Well, that's all the questions I had for you. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
Hopefully it's been good for you.
Yeah. First time podcast. Hope it did well.
Thanks, mate.